Hello, this is Shane Gibson with RackN, and this is a very quick demo on some VMware content for doing hardware compatibility checking for ESXi and VSAN. Please note that these components aren't fully completed, but this shows the overview of the workflow and the tasks and templates that would be instantiated and invoked to run these processes and collect the information and validate a given specific hardware against a HCL for ESXi or VSAN. We have a machine here already sitting by in sledgehammer wait mode, running the Digital Rebar Provision discover and sledgehammer process. If we take a look at the machine object really quick, we'll see that we have our standard go high inventory JSON information, which has a significant amount of information. This is the raw JSON blob that values would be harvested from to create an inventory to validate the ESXi or VSAN components. It would boil down to something similarly to what we would look like the inventory data here, which has been pulled from the raw JSON information. If we take a look at some of the templates that we're going to run through today in the workflow, there are 4 of them. They all do an install validate and an install validate step. So the first step is VMware ESXi HCL install, which installs, if we take a look at this, it's a simple script that sets up the environment to install Python 3 so that we can run the actual tool, which requires Python 3 by default. The Sledgehammer instance doesn't have Python 3, it has Python 2 in the image. So we get all of those requirements done, and then we essentially get the actual HCL compatibility checker Python tool. We unzip it, move it in place, and once that's done, we initiate PyCheck, the comp checker.py with a help output just to validate and verify that the tool has been successfully installed. The next step would be running the validate stage, where we'd actually run or take the actual JSON information and run the HCL compatibility checker, validate the results. Ultimately, the results of that would be to set some parameters on the machine. So the machine would receive a parameter that says ESXi HCL completed, meaning that the HCL compatibility checker tool has run and completed, and then the actual results of whether it's been validated as an HCL compliant machine. So in this case, we're just go ahead and hard forcing the values to true. Once the tool is run, we got the appropriate results back, we would set these values appropriately. Similarly, for the VSAN component, the VSAN HCL has a similar step. There is no actual install right now at the moment, since there is no current tool that runs on Linux natively. There is a PowerShell script which runs under Windows. We're working on a solution to make that happen, but this is where the actual install of the tooling would happen. And again, similarly, the VSAN would validate stages would set the appropriate parameters on the machine for VSAN HCL validated and VSAN HCL completed. Again, we're setting the values to true here ultimately. Subsequent workflows then would take a look at these parameters and say a yay or nay whether we should move forward with an actual ESXi or VSAN installation on the given machine based on these results. Ultimately, there would probably be an override value or a force value, so even if the HCL failed to complete successfully, i.e. it wasn't validated as HCL compliant, you might still want to choose to go ahead and attempt to install the product, so there would be a force or override capability to override these actual values. If we go back to our machine and take a look at the machine, we'll see that there are no VMware / etc. Parameters set on the machine yet, so when the workflow runs, those values will be set on the machine. The workflow that we're going to run in this case is the VMware testing workflow, which will run the ESXi HCL install, the validate, the HCL install for the VSAN, and the VSAN validate steps, and then stop and wait. So once these 4 tasks execute in order, then they will set the values appropriately on the machine. Going back to the machine itself, let's select the workflow, which is VMware testing here, and if we kick this off, So in the process, if we take a look at the actual machine, we see the workflow running here right now. It's in the ESXi HCL install process. And if we take a look at the job log, we can see it executing the appropriate steps to do the installation. We see the Python 3 stuff is being installed, all of the dependencies for Python 3 appropriately, and all of the requirements from there. So we should also see, once this completes, we should actually see here's the unzip of the comp checker tool, and then we actually run the comp checker with the -help. So this was the validation that the comp checker is running successfully, and so here's the help output from the comp checker. If we go back to the machine, we should see that all of the rest of the stages have actually finished up successfully now, and we see that the VMware ESXi HCL completed, HCL validated, and the VSAN HCL completed and the VSAN HCL validated parameters have been set appropriately on the machine. That's it. Thank you. This is Shane Gibson with RackN.